All right, the Golden State Warriors defeat the Houston Rockets 127 to 121. Not gonna lie, during the first half, I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna have to do a whole damn video about the Golden State Warriors and why we should take them seriously. And the title of the video was gonna be like, we need to talk about the Golden State Warriors, which I still think we need to do, but I'm gonna go back to my original plan and make this a game reaction. This was the game Kwab and I decided we wanted to react to. Unfortunately, Quab's not with me right now. That is okay. He'll be back soon. He'll be back later. But let's talk about the Warriors in the first half because I still want to hit on the fact that they look really good, right? Despite the fact that they lost a 31-point lead, what you saw from the Warriors, especially defensively, was remarkable, right? You saw them ball pressuring. You saw them jumping out on screens. You saw the Houston Rockets uncomfortable, unsure of decisions they're going to make. And make no mistake about it, I went into this game thinking that the Rockets were going to win this game, not because I think the Rockets are better, but just something called the schedule loss, right? You have a back-to-back against the Pelicans, then you fly, go on the road, then you have a game against the Houston Rockets. You're playing 3 games in 4 nights. You kind of figure with role players playing, you have Steph out. I know Wiggins is back, but you still have Steph out. This is a type of game that people chalk up to the schedule, right? 3rd game, 4 nights, don't have your star player. It's a road game. Role players play better at home than they do on the road. Just seemed like it was a type of game that they're going to lose, but they came out with so much energy. It was so impressive, especially on the defensive end. Offensively, they were moving the ball. There was always motion. It looked like the old Warriors that I fell in love with during their dynasty years with Steph and Clay and Draymond. Not as much split action, but definitely a lot of down screens, a lot of dribble handoffs, and everybody just looking for each other. And I think my favorite thing about this Warriors team from the games that I've watched so far is that everybody's playing within themselves and everybody has confidence to do what they do best. You know, Draymond is facilitating. He's not playing above himself. Paz is making plays. He's getting in the paint. Kuminga's hitting threes and taking it in. Buddy Hield is having the best season of his career so far. Granted, it's only been 5 games. Moses Moody's, when he's on the court, he's hitting that corner 3. He's showing that he deserves more playing time. They're all playing with each other. They're playing for each other. And it reminds me of the years when the Golden State Warriors were winning championships. Now, do they have enough to win an NBA championship this year? No, but I do think, going back to my original point, the original point I was going to make during the video when I thought this was going to be a 20-plus, 30-plus point blowout win, we got to start talking about the Golden State Warriors, and we got to start talking about, where they are in the Western Conference, right? Now, I don't think they're the level of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think they're the level of the OKC Thunder or the Mavericks, but I do think if you're going to start listing teams below that in another tier, I think the Golden State Warriors deserve to be in that conversation, especially doing what they're doing without Steph Curry. It's unbelievable if you look at the stats. This is a team that is overall net rating first. They are second in field goals made, 3-point field goals made, which is the name of the game now. I mean, basically, if you're not shooting the 3 ball well, you're not really winning much in this league. First in assists per game. Second in opponent field goal percentage, so they're playing really good defense. First in opponent 3-point field goal percentage, so they're protecting the 3-point line. And they're second in steals. There's the ball pressure again. How could you not say they're not playing better basketball than mostly everybody in the league? I mean, you take out the OKC Thunder, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, and maybe a few other teams that I can't think of off the top of my head. Who's playing better than the Golden State Warriors? Granted, their schedule hasn't been that tough, and they're going to get challenged. Steph might be back next game or a game or two, but he's coming back just in time. They're going to have the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, and the Clippers in a 6 straight game stretch right after they play the Washington Wizards. So we're going to see what the Golden State Warriors are made out of, but I do think it's time we start taking them seriously. How seriously? I don't know. I used to produce a podcast or help produce a podcast. I still kind of do because I do work for the company, but I used to produce a podcast called Hoops Tonight with Jason Timpf, and he said the Warriors need to make a trade if they want to be serious contenders, and I kind of agree with him in the sense where at the end of the day, if you want to win the Western Conference, if you want to win the NBA Finals, you have to get to another tier. Now, what that trade looks like, I don't know, but the Warriors do have a lot of depth. They have a lot of players that they can get rid of. They have a lot of pieces that they can move. I don't know who or for what for. That thought hasn't crossed my mind yet, but that's a good thing, Warriors fans. Just to piggyback off of Timpf and his podcast, I saw a lot of Warriors fans getting mad about his take saying, hey, they need to trade. That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing to be in a position to make one trade or 1.5, 2 trades to get yourself in a position to be champions. You should be very proud of this team. You should be happy that they're playing well, but don't fool yourselves into thinking that this current version of this team can win the Western Conference or who has any chance of winning the championship. I know it's early to make proclamations like that, but let's be real here. They're not there yet. Now, can they get there? Sure. If Buddy keeps shooting the way he's shooting, if Kuminga gets comfortable coming off the bench, that's a very formidable bench. That's probably better than most, if any, bench in the league. I think they're first right now in net rating from a bench standpoint or in a scoring standpoint as well. So that just proves it right there. The Golden State Warriors are for real in the sense where we're going to be talking about this team in April, in May, maybe June if they make the right move. And Warriors fans coming into this season, I don't think anybody or mostly anybody thought that this team would be taken as seriously as people are starting to take them now after 5 games. So shout out to y'all, but blowing a 31-point lead is exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying on the second half of my compliment. It sounds like a backhand compliment, but it's not. At the end of the day, you can't be blowing 31-point leads. I know it's on the road against the Houston Rockets team that's young and athletic and that kind of got their ish together in the second half. But there were a lot of deficiencies that I saw there, right? Mainly, and this can be fixed with Steph, but, ball handling. Once the Rockets got in there and started ball pressure, especially Tari Eason, man had 5 steals. All of them seemed like they led directly to dunks, right? Steal, dunk. It just, Tari Eason just single-handedly took over that game. I've never really seen that from a defensive standpoint. I can't think off the top of my head thinking of a player that single-handedly flipped the game like that just with stealing the basketball and having open dunks like that. We've seen defensive dominant performances at the rim protection-wise, blocking shots, but I'm not really sure I've ever seen a game flip like that because somebody was just ball pressuring time and time again and getting steals time and time again. But from a Warrior standpoint, you need more ball handlers, right? Steph is going to handle the ball most of the time, sure, but having another one would be nice. Now, maybe that's DeAnthony Melton when he gets back. We'll see. Also, they started to kind of just be flustered on that end as well. It's almost like they abandoned their principles. They really didn't have many playmakers on that side of the ball. I think they're going to need another creator off the dribble. Buddy can spot, he can shoot. Kuminga, for the most part, can do it, but when he does it, he only does it for himself. So somebody not like Steph, but someone who can assist Steph in making plays for others. Draymond's really good at it, but Draymond's more in the system, in split action, in the offense, which is fine, don't get me wrong, but I don't really feel comfortable giving the ball to anybody else and saying, hey, go get me a bucket. Hey, go make things happen on your own. Hey, create a play for us, because they are doubling Steph. They're trapping Steph, or Steph is just taken out of the game for some reason. I think the Warriors do need that. On the flip side, want to definitely talk about the Houston Rockets. This was the first full game that I saw from the Houston Rockets. And from what I've read and from what I've heard, this was very indicative of their season this year. Very looks great, looks terrible, looks great, looks terrible. They're kind of hard to evaluate, because even watching this game, I don't know who the hell they are. Right? Are you that awful team that I saw in the first half that couldn't handle ball pressure, that wasn't moving the ball, that wasn't sticking to any defensive principles? Are you that team? Or are you on the second half where we're pressuring the ball, we're getting after you, we're aggressive, we're dictating terms on that end? I don't know what they are. Shout out to Tari Eason, who in my mind, like I said before, completely flipped the game. Jabari was hitting threes. I think he took a few bad ones, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to get at him for a simple fact that he was a huge part in erasing a 31-point comeback. So who am I to say Jabari stopped shooting threes like that? I think Amen Thompson's going to have to learn how to shoot the ball, because defenses are just sagging on him and daring him to shoot. And not even sagging. It's actually really uncomfortable to watch, but otherwise he's phenomenal. I think they're going to have to eventually get away from Fred VanVleet when his contract is expiring this year, off the top of my head. So for this year in particular, he just has to play better. I don't know what their plans are at the point guard position, but he had a horrible game. Jalen had a horrible game. Sengun was okay at best. It just seems like their players, and this was just from, what I was watching this year, this game, the best players that they're relying on, or the players that they're relying on the most, they're not relying on a Tari Eason to carry them over the top. They're not relying on a Jabari Smith to carry them over the top. These are role players that are supposed to assist with Jalen, with Sengun, and maybe even VanVleet, and they just didn't have it today. So the fact that they were able to erase a 31-point deficit with their role players, I think says a lot. I think the Houston Rockets have a lot of talent. I think they are a very good team, a very good core that can be very good for a few years if they get it together. But something's just not working there. I don't know if Van Vliet's just, doesn't really mesh well. He hasn't shot well. I think his shot selection was a little suspect. Doesn't really seem to be creating for others. They might need another playmaker. Jalen, same thing. When he gets the ball, he doesn't really seem to be trying to make plays for others. I think Sengun's pretty much the only one who does that consistently for them, and Thompson as well. So for me, it's hard for you to even give you my opinion on the Houston Rockets because I have no idea what the hell to take from that game. I don't know which version of the Rockets you just saw as a real Houston Rockets. So definitely want to catch another Houston Rockets game, which, as a matter of fact, I will because they play the Knicks next. So I'm going to be watching the next Knicks-Rockets game, maybe react to that. But I definitely wanted to hit more about the Golden State Warriors because now they weren't in our top 10 with me and Kwab in our power rankings, our first two renditions of the power rankings, because Curry got hurt, and I didn't know what to make of their victories over the Pelicans. Now I think I know. I think this is a solid team. Even though they blew a 31-point lead today, I think this is a solid team. I think they're going to be around for a while. I think if they make a few moves and Steve Kerr makes some adjustments and Kuminga's comfortable in his bench role and Hield continues to shoot the way he's been shooting, obviously at the clip he's shooting now, it's going to be impossible to keep up with. But if he can shoot high 30s, low 40s, I think this team's going to be really good. I think they're going to be really good. Might have a chance to do some damage in the playoffs. All right, we'll catch you around for our next reaction video. Definitely going to be doing Knicks Rockets. Let us know in the comments what games you want us to react to. Until then, we'll catch you next time for another episode of It's Dime.